Welcome to the meeting room at Global TV Talk Show, a broadcast service of globalbusinessnews.net.
This episode from the meeting room of Global TV Talk Show is brought to you by
The Bridge School, the accredited international online private school of choice, at bridgek12.org.
Porch Light Rental and Destination Services. Reduce your renter lump sum or managed relocation costs. Visit them at porchlightrental.com.
And by airs.com. With our full range of services, we can help design and manage your international relocation. Find us at airs.com.
Primestone Partners, featuring corporate, government, and developer housing solutions, as well as senior-level advisory services. Find them at primestonepartners.com.
And by International Auto Source. We are the vehicle experts for expats, featuring all major brands of automobiles with flexible solutions and financing. On the web at intlauto.com.
Become a global player in your field.
Cross Culture to Go provides virtual support for your global business and career success.
We can help you thrive in 140 plus countries and markets.
On the web at crossculturetogo.com.
This is Ed Cohen in San Diego, California, and you're on Global TV Talk Show. And with us today from Limerick in Southern Ireland is John Lee. He is an expert in work from anywhere and has also a long history of being involved in business travel, consulting, and leadership. Also with us from North Texas is Karlton Hoskins. He is an entrepreneur for many years and quite successful at it. And now he's teaching others about how to be a better entrepreneur. And all that has to do with money and finding it and keeping it, I guess, if you can do that. Right, Karlton?
Absolutely. If you can find it and you can keep it, that's the goal.
Right. So this show, because I couldn't think of anything better, we're just going to call it PlanB. And this relates to when your plan A as an entrepreneur crashes. And then what? And so all three of us have been in that position and trying to find our way through, swimming through the fog and reaching out, looking what crawls out from under a rock, and say, oh, I've got money. What do I get in return? But those are few and far between these days, for me anyway. So real quick, for 25 years, my main business was producing live training conferences. We produce over 300, and mostly US, but also Canada, Latin America, and across Europe. March 1st of 2020, all of that came to a crash. Poof, evaporation. And so all that revenue and also the expenses just went away. But replacing that has been a mighty challenge and continues. Although the dimension of it is shifting, and frankly, it's getting a little easier, but it's still very, very hard for me. So we've developed this video conference, a teleconference. It's not a new thing, but applied to our industry and the usefulness of it, of bringing people from around the world together in a format like this to get to know each other. You can't shake hands, but you can certainly reach out and touch someone. and I can't put my hand in your pocket from here. So you guys are safe. So okay, so John Lee, just tell us about your business from a year and a half ago to today, and how you had to make a shift.
Yeah, absolutely. So, my previous startup was Coach for Me. My own background actually was a chartered accountant, so a finance background. I did the corporate, let's say, a great experience in the corporate world. I worked for a company called CRH, finished up there being the senior finance leader of a $4 billion division in Europe, traveled to 150 locations in a 10-year period. Absolutely loved it. Great company to work for. Then after that, did my own startup called Culture Me together with my wife. And it was a very simple concept. It was basically a digital app to help you understand other cultures. And in the travel industry, that was a big gap. So to really help you compare your culture to the culture you're going to travel to, help you understand how to do business with other cultures, what to watch out for. And nearly every business traveler has got the story of a cultural faux pas that lost them a deal, or intercultural miscommunication that goes wrong when you're rolling out a big technology product. And there's lots of other examples. And so I felt that was the opportunity. And what happened is we launched the API in the US in about April 2019. We were getting some really promising traction, and then all of a sudden COVID happened and absolutely wiped us. Probably too early for the market, possibly as well. I mean, what's nice, I still do consulting. I still get asked to speak at conferences around the world. But I learned a huge amount from the experience. It was bitterly disappointing that it just was too early. But as I said, learned a huge amount from the experience. So what happened basically then in the last year is been really sitting back and trying to think, where could the opportunities come with everything that's happening right now in these unusual times that we're living in. And so a buddy of mine based in Sydney, the two of us did a bit of a brainstorm and tried to think, where could the opportunities be? And basically the opportunity that we came up with was to build like a visual map of the world to show you all the tax residency risks around the world, so that for the remote workers who want to spend a few months working abroad, they can see in certain countries it's possible. In certain countries, it's a huge risk, can land you at a massive tax bill, basically. And what's nice as well is we've incorporated digital nomad visas into it as well. So digital nomad visas completely cover you in some cases from the tax, and they cover you for business visas and everything that you need. So it is a really simple map of the world. And that's basically the work from anywhere team. So work from anywhere is obviously coming very much on trend, but has huge risks and challenges to implement it and to do it right. So that's what we have with a map of the world, and we connect people with tax advisors.
What is a digital nomad visa?
Digital nomad visa, well, it really, there's no two, in many ways, there's no two are the same, but essentially what it means is you see it very often, for example, in the likes of the Caribbean countries, where you can basically go there on a digital nomad visa, and that will give you something equivalent to a business visa where you can actually work there. You'd like a work permission to work from that country. But on top of that, in many cases, it will also cover you from a tax perspective, that you won't risk becoming a tax resident in that country, and you can still pay like taxes in your home country. So very attractive for people that don't want the messiness of let's say, having the complexities of paying tax in two different jurisdictions, or the risk that goes with that, let's say. So very clean. And obviously for these countries, they're seeing that there's going to be a big market for remote workers, people that do want to spend a couple of months. And of course, if they can attract them into that country, yes, they might not get, let's say, the income tax from it, but they'll be able to get a lot of the spending locally and help the economy thrive. So it will definitely be an attractive segment for destinations over the coming 5 to 10 years and beyond.
So this is a question, is that based upon the time you spend there? Let's say Belize or Aruba.
Well, yeah, exactly. Like in certain countries, like for example, take the US. If you're not from the US and you go to the US for more than 31 days, you could potentially trigger, tax residency risks. Some countries have a very low threshold, whereas other countries have like 183 days of a threshold or more even. It really varies. Now, there are still liabilities and things that can trigger from day one. But the major one is that if you become tax resident in your potentially in your home country and in this new country you start working in, well, it can lead to a massive tax bill. The last thing you want is at the end of the year get a huge tax bill from two different countries.
Right. So Karlton, tell us a little bit about what you're into. I know you have a pretty happy TV show now.
Thank you for that, Ed. We have a TV show called The Better Your Business Show that is supported and in collaboration with the Los Angeles Tribune. Mo Rock's team over there has been doing an amazing job with us. And the goal of that show is to bring as much insight to business owners as we possibly can to help them get through real trying situations every day. Business owners can go to YouTube, they can go to Facebook, they can go to LinkedIn, and they can get all of this information. but sometimes that information just needs to be packaged in a way to where they hear the experts talk about it, but then they also get the practical application of it. How do I actually use it? It's great to say, find a market that you can serve. Okay, but great. How do I do that? From an entrepreneur just getting started, how do I do that? And so we that show brings that information in a practical light to the market. And because we know there's no shows doing that, we that's what we wanted to solve. That was the missing gap, as John said, in the market for the business owners.
So what happens? Have you had a crash and burn? Or have you always been? Yeah.
Oh my.
Yes.
Well, there's this saying that you must fail to succeed. And over here at I Do Systems, we don't believe that. We don't believe that you have to fail to succeed. I look at all of the greats. I look at, and I love to use the analogy of sports, because people always say, well, Michael Jordan failed. He sat on the bench his sophomore year in high school, and so he failed. That's not a failure. That was a lesson learned. And that's the thing that we do. We learn, we make mistakes, we fall down, we get up, we keep moving. But just because you fall off your bike, just because you crash your car, doesn't mean you failed. Failure is definitive to me. So when you say you failed, it's over. There's no second chance. There's no third chance. There's no fourth chance. There's no more opportunities. There's no right to wrong. There's none of that available, because failure is definitive. And so when I look at the word, you have to fail to succeed, well, our team completely disagrees with that. You should learn to succeed, right? We watch other people's mistakes. We say this every day in our lives. We watch other people's mistakes and we learn from their mistakes. We don't say we watch from other people's failures and we learn from their failures. That's not the way that sentence goes. So we've learned from many mistakes and through this whole process of building out our flagship program, if you will, Pillar 5. We've had a lot of ups and downs in that process, but we haven't failed. Well, why do I say that? Because we're still moving forward. We're still going, and the name didn't change. The EIN didn't change. The bank account may have gone down a little bit, but it's coming back up. So it's not a failure. It's a lesson learned. And
okay, so, let's review for John and our worldwide audience out there. What's pillar number 1?
Infrastructure.
What's that mean?
Good question. So there's 5 pillars to building a sustainable business: infrastructure, management, marketing, finance, and credit. Infrastructure, which is the first pillar of the business, deals with the legal structure of the business. A lot of the stuff John was talking about, having that preparation, having your advisory team, having your board of directors. Here's the funny thing. You'll talk to a company, let's just say, I don't know, John's Ice Creams. John, I just turned you into an ice cream maker. John's Ice Creams, okay? And John has this beautiful ice cream truck that goes around the block, and he sells ice cream every day in the summer in Florida. Okay, great. And I go, John, where's your advisory board? And John would immediately say to me, I don't need an advisory board. Well, therein is going to determine John's ability to build a sustainable company. It's going to determine his ability to achieve his level of success. Why do I say that? Well, let's look at Starbucks. If we walk into Starbucks today, tell me, do you see the CEO and the founder of Starbucks serving you coffee? The answer is absolutely no. He's sitting in a board with a team of advisors around him, building his next 453rd store. There's a difference. He's not sitting in Starbucks serving ice cream. He's not sitting in Starbucks serving coffee. He's building a business. He's building business. And so when you're building business, even if the goal when you start the business is to build a successful and sustainable business, there are things you have to do that many people think or neglect because they don't believe that it's relevant. And infrastructure, Ed, is one of the main pieces. They go, I don't need an attorney. I don't need an accountant. I don't need anyone to assist me with that. I don't need an architect or an engineer or an advisory team. I don't need mentors. I could do it on my own. And we all know there's no billion-dollar company, no Fortune 500, 200, 100 company that's got one person on those seat all by themselves. Doesn't exist.
Got it. And what's pillar number 2?
Marketing.
So marketing isn't making sales, although it's part of it. It's the whole strategy and tactics.
That's right. So when we look at pillars, think of pillars like a column on your house that's supporting the house. There's different levels. And on different parts of that pillar, you may put a nail at 6 foot high, but you didn't put one at 3 foot high. So it depends on the wall type. Were you putting concrete or putting wood? Listen, one thing for certain, there are a million types of businesses and a million different minds building businesses. But the certainty is they're all going to use the same foundation. They should all use the same roofing model and support beams. How they decorate the inside, what color they paint the roof, the design of the roof, the color of the outside, doesn't matter. But it's got to be inspected and it's got to be solid. Otherwise, it doesn't pass the permits and it's not livable. The state's not going to let you move into it. You can't do it. And same thing with business. It's be the same way. These foundations need to be built in. With marketing, we know marketing is a huge component. There's branding, there's video marketing, there's social media marketing, there's print media marketing, there's Eddie, you were talking about, you were doing networking and you would have all these big events. That's a whole other form of marketing. There's so much to marketing. There's product marketing, there's sales team marketing. You have to market to bring on better team members. There's marketing in almost every component of your business, from the logo to the picture to the video, all of that. And so that pillar consists of all those different components. And so there's several different experts that need to serve that area.
So I'm picking your brain, of course. I hope it's all right. What's number 3?
No, you go for it. I love it. I'm having fun.
Number 3.
Management.
Oh, I got to write this down. Okay.
Management is the next pillar in that lineup. Well, we already understand management. That's your operations. Operations comes in. It's being able to manage your time. It's being able to manage your team, and it's being able to manage your organization. If you can do all of those things, you're going to be batting 1,000. You're going to be doing pretty good, because many, again, business owners tend to manage. Well, they don't really manage. They just tend to put out fires as they arrive, and they're not managing and preparing an operations manual. These are their Six Sigma Ninja processes. Right? They're not doing all of that. So their processes are spread out. They get a new client in the sales cycle. They get a new client, and then they have to go over to the left to get a CRM. And then the CRM has to talk to the SMS. And then the SMS has to talk to their email. And all these things are spread on 10 different platforms. Why? Because they don't have processes in place. Why? Because they have no one managing that. There's no expert standing in their organization saying, you need to manage your processes better.
Something that's really neat is that the Bridge School partners with various organizations to provide learning for their students. For example, we partner with a major ballet company, and we are able to enroll several of their students into our school. So now not only is the student able to participate in a school and have a seamless transition while they're very active in their ballet career, but now they have other dancers that are with them that are doing some of the same courses. So it's almost becoming a camaraderie where they're taking similar courses, they're working together on their ballet, and really being able to form this great partnership with these organizations to provide a needed service. A lot of times there are student athletes who will spend hours and hours at the gym or at the basketball courts, wherever it is. And if they're attending a traditional school, they're in school from 8 to 3. They get a quick snack, and then they're at the gym for 3 to 4 hours in the evening. Coming to us and having that partnership, they're able to break that up throughout the day. They can have a morning practice, get some schooling in, have an afternoon practice, finish their schooling in the evening. So there's that flexibility. And additionally, if there are tournaments or performances, it's fantastic because if there's a week where they have shows straight through, they can take that week off of learning and then pick back up when they're done. So it offers this great flexibility. And for the program owners of these sports leagues, it is a win-win situation for them because they see this need. They see this need that their students need to make sure that they are obtaining the grades necessary to be successful adults in our country and in other countries. But it provides them an environment where they can be successful at both.
Yeah. So, entrepreneur, you're trying to survive. So you become a doer, not a thinker. And then you get hit by a brick or something, and or the pebble becomes a brick. And so, like for instance, in my case, just a prime example, and so I'm not going to cry on camera here, but
Don't cry.
Big entrepreneurs don't cry, just small ones.
Yes, we do.
So I realized that I'm not making a good case. I mean, it was like a brainstorm, like a light went on, right? Where's my money? So I'm sending out pitches and trying to get people involved to buy an ad or do something, And so I forgot to make a case in an intelligent, low-key manner about why it's good business to invest some money a little and then build it up later once you get comfortable. And so now I've written down things. I'm telling a story, and I didn't tell a good enough story to key people who at first put in a little money a year ago and then just stopped. And
Right.
meanwhile, they're doing other things somewhere else. We're still friends, but it's not. And then others got really excited at first about advertising and doing a number of programs, developing a series, all right, trying to build an audience, make it a win-win. And then it cooled off. And I said, what is all this? So did I scare them off, or something happened in their life? Had nothing to do with me. I was just there. And so now I'm going back to all those individual people and getting them to tell me what's important to them during this post-COVID from a business point of view, and how have their needs changed, and what am I doing that either doesn't appeal as a solution, or maybe could, but maybe the price point was not understood clearly, or the benefit package with the price point was not communicated clearly, blah, 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 And so,
Right.
And so I'm going back and reconnecting with one at a time and having conversations and dialogue. And, it's beginning to turn around because they didn't get PO'd at me. They just couldn't understand what I wanted. And all they saw was dollars and a lot of smoke and mirrors. They was smart enough to see what I was doing. And so I said, okay, let's clear the mess out and give you, rather than a glass house, we're going to build a structure here that you can do this, and then that will lead to that. Anyway, I'm talking too much. What's pillar number 4?
And I'll answer number 4. But I wanted to get pillar number 4 is finance. But
Okay.
before I get into finance, really quick, Ed, I wanted to address what you were saying, how
Thank you.
you're not the first person to go through that. And you're not the last. just think about 2.3 million businesses that were impacted by COVID.
Yeah.
Just right here in the United States, forget the world. And I'm not saying to dismiss the world. I'm saying just let's not calculate them into that number. Just on this shore, there's 2.3 million businesses that were impacted. I didn't say they failed. I just said they were impacted. But if you think about the number of businesses that fail, and you do that math, it's a ridiculous amount of businesses that one would not imagine. Just to think of all of the technology, all the new ingenuity, all of the new classes and lessons and geniuses that have come out with programs and platforms to coach and consult and to help all these businesses become successful. Just think for a moment. There's not enough coaches. There's not enough consultants to serve the U.S. market, let alone the world of businesses. There's over 32 million businesses in this country. 76% of all startups fail before they get to year 10. There's about 400,000 startups every year. 50% of them, 200,000 of them won't see year 5. So let's just pause right there for a moment. That makes it very easy to understand in the quantitative perspective. There's about, 200,000 businesses? What's that number? 50,000 businesses that are failing every year that started less than 5 years ago. And then the number of businesses that are consistently failing every year. And so you add that on top of there, and that's a huge impact in our market, which leads to finance. My partner, Tehran, and I got into developing Pillar 5 because we were in the financial industry. And we were helping business owners build their credit, get funding so that they can grow and support their business. What we learned along that process was that they were still failing. Money wasn't solving the problem. And I hear Mark Cuban say this all the time. Sales cures all. There's a difference when a business owner thinks money cures all. They're two different things. Sales is the bring on of a new client. Money is just money. Money could be capital. Money could be, resources that have come into the business. And so when they get those monies, if they're not doing like John is saying, if they're not managing those money rights, if they're generating revenue in the foreign entity or in a foreign jurisdiction, and then they have to pay taxes on that jurisdiction, that's impacting them. Well, business owners think they need to master everything legal in the business. So number one, go get a law degree. Management, they need to go to School of Business Management, and they need to get a degree in that. Marketing, they need to go to Billie Jean School of Billie Jean Genius and get a master in marketing. Then they need to go to school and get a financial degree. They can do that at Brown's, wherever they want to do that. And then the next one will be credit, and there's no school for that, right? But they can go through the FCRA and they can get certified with credit. Can you imagine having to run a business and have to have all 5 of those master degrees? You would never run a business. You would spend your life in school, which is why it is so important to have experts and advisors and board members on your organization, even if you're a candy shop on the corner, if you're a lemonade stand selling drinks at the baseball game. You need an advisory board. And so finance is a big component. Finance tells you, and it helps you. And I'm not a financial expert, so I don't go into the whirlwind of all of those components, but financial is big, right? You need a CFO in your organization to help guide you, no matter how small you think you are. No matter how small you think you are, you need an expert in every pillar. And they're not going to know the whole thing either. They're going to need support from other people because they don't all know everything in marketing. Just because you have someone great at video doesn't mean they're great at content writing. Doesn't mean they're great at editing. Doesn't mean they're great at lighting. Doesn't mean they're great at audio. Doesn't mean they're great. There's too much to it. So even someone that's the expert in marketing in your organization, they need to be smart enough to know that they need hands on decks that's smarter than them. Always be in a room with people smarter than you. If you're not, you're in the wrong room. We've heard that all our life.
Strong, man. You're strong. Okay, what's number 5? And then I'm going to let
5, lastly.
John, you're going to speak next.
Let's go. I'm enjoying it. Over.
And so 5 is credit. And credit breaks off into personal and business. Now, this is not a global requirement, but it is definitely a requirement in the United States because internationally, everyone doesn't use credit the same way. You know, some countries, if you use credit, that's a bad thing. Other countries use credit, it's a great thing. So it just depends on where you are. But credit allows the business to utilize its value to do maneuvers, leverage their funding, leverage their ability to get employees, supplies, services, all of those things, whether it's a new car, whether it's a new microphone, and whether it's a new headset for your broadcast, you know, whatever those are, you want to be able to leverage that. And when finance goes with credit, if your finances are structured in a way where you're on the net 90, but your expenses are costing you every month, well, there's an offset. There's a 2-month offset. You're going to have to find 60 days of funding, finances, to cover your debt while someone else is playing you out on a 90-day credit. That something's not right there. That has to come together, and business owners are not savvy enough to know all of that. Listen, Ed, I'm part of a team that built all of these pillars, and I don't know all the answers, which is why when we built Pillar 5, we built it the way we did. We built it at a high level, 40,000 foot, with all of the macros, and we allow the coaches to come in and guide their clients through those pieces, because all coaches teach differently and they guide differently, and the industries that they're in are different. Again, same building, different store. One's GameStop and one is Macy's shoes. It's still a building, but the product, the service, the customers, the lighting, the design, the branding, everything is different.
So we're
right?
talking,
Everything
we're
is
listening.
different.
We're not talking, we're listening to Karlton Hoskins. Pillar, that's Pillar, right? Pillar5.com.
Pillar 5, Five.
So, John, you're going to sign up? No.
Yeah, no, look, that's one of the things. One of the things in the last year, I was actually on TopTal advising a lot of companies just in the US and in Dubai and in Europe, you know, UK and beyond. Startups, helping them navigate a lot of these challenges myself as well. So I mean, I totally get it. And you know, for me, the one thing, going back to the point that Karlton was making, there's a lot of really good stuff there. But the critical thing for me is, you know, sales is your oxygen. Sales is your oxygen. You know, it really is. It's the absolute very core. You know, and that's got to be, everything's got to be designed around making sure you can get that, because I think with a lot of startups, there's a lot of, you know, there's a lot of ideas around, oh, let's just get the investment and go for it. But, you know, I'm a big believer, you got to understand your business. You got to know what the drivers are. If you understand the drivers, you'll be able to understand and forecast the numbers, or at least get the help of a finance expert to help you with that, as long as you understand the drivers. But it all comes back to understanding your customer and making sure you can generate that oxygen. That will then give you the flexibility, and you might not even need investors, because I think a lot of people think, oh, it's all about getting investors from the get-go. It's absolutely not. A lot of good businesses can be very successful without investors, and others are a perfect fit for it. So yeah, no, I completely echo all those points. Really, really good points.
Hey, John, I just wanted to say to what you said, you made a really good point. You're dead on. Business owners many times believe that they need money to get started, right? They need to do this thing before they get started. It's kind of like my 15-year-old when it's baseball season coming around and I go, hey, let's go down to the batter's cage and let me get you with your coach again. And he goes, oh no, I want to work before I go to my coach. And I'm like, why? And he goes, well, what do you think? The ego is playing in his mind. He wants to go to his coach to show off that he's at a better level than when he left the coach, versus going to coach to get better. And so it's the reverse, and entrepreneurs think the same way. If you just give me $50,000, John, I'm going to build an amazing business that's going to revolutionize the world. Well, if your business can revolutionize the world, then you should be able to start building it with $0. Correct. I mean, listen, our programming team, I actually had a conversation with the CEO the other day. Teplar is the organization, Raman. And we were talking, I said, Raman, you've been building Pillar 5 for us, our organization, for almost 6 years. 6 years. John, here's a caveat. We haven't spent $1 out of pocket. We did a partnership relationship that hasn't cost us a dime in that.
Amazing.
And when
Good
we
work.
did the calculation, it was about $2.3 million of programming hours to build that software. And we're not done. We're still not done. We're just getting started on the API. So we're just getting really revved up. So we're going to probably be in about $3 million of sweat equity. How much money did that cost me, John? Zero. How much money did we borrow to get that done? Zero. How are you doing this, Carl? Well, there's other things other than money that can help you solve your problems. And that's lining up with people who have the same purpose and passion that you do. If they believe in what you believe in, they're going to support what you do. Otherwise, they're not. Go find others that are like you. That starts building your market, starts building your community, starts building your brand, starts building the awareness, starts building the education, and as John always says, starts generating sales.
Well, I think linking to that as well, you know, a big message that's just absolutely critical. I think a lot of people make the mistake that they need to get this huge amount of money, this huge capital to go and build an oil tanker. That's this fantastic vision. I need to build this oil tanker, but again, the message comes back, no, just build a speedboat, validate the speedboat, go really fast. It might look ugly, just get it out there, learn from it, tweak it, make it better. You know, and if it really takes off, you'll eventually get to this to the oil tanker when the time is right down the road. But that whole constant message of agility, agile mindset, building it around the customer, validating every assumption that you're doing quantitatively, qualitatively, whatnot, you know, building right around the customer experience and having that real speedboat mindset. That's another thing, you know, when you're second time founder, you know it already. You've learned the hard way. But I think it's one of the lessons that a lot of people, you know, really underestimate.
You know, John, that speaks right to Ed's point on PlanB. That's that Plan B. You know, that in my mind, that's what I think, because as business owners, we jump out there and we just start riding. You know, we have this idea and we just start putting one foot in front of the other, as they say, assembling the parachute while we're falling out of the plane simultaneously. You know, and as a first-time entrepreneur, what happens 99%, well, statistically, 76% of the time, what happens? We hit the ground, bam, and you never hear that story. You'll never, ever hear that story on the news. But the one time that I jump out the plane and I make it, it's kind of like that Batman Lego movie. You know, he throws 100 of those Batman stars trying to hit a button, and then he hits it finally, and he goes, first try.
Yeah. I think it was on that point is a great one. I think as Reid Hoffman said, doing a startup is like literally jumping off a cliff and assembling a plane on the way down, isn't it? I mean, it really feel like that is.
That is absolutely.
Well, thanks for being on Global TV. We can continue this, but we all have other things to do and consultants to talk with, right? So.
Oh, this is fun. I love this, Ed. I always love it.
All right, so please come back again, guys. And
absolutely,
I really appreciate it. All right, John, what website can people look at?
WFA.team. So the work from anywhere team. So WFA.team. Real simple.
That's cool. And once again, your site that you want to talk about, Carl?
They can look me up personally on LinkedIn at Karlton Hoskins, Karlton with a K. And they can also, they can connect with me there. But if you want to go to Pillar 5, you can get a free assessment. You get 1-day access. So you can go in there, you can take an assessment, you can find out where your business is today and what are the gaps. We'll actually tell you in less than 7 minutes. It normally takes a business 9 months to figure that out. We'll do it in 7 minutes flat. And that's pretty fast time, but you can do it in 7 minutes. And then we tell you what next steps you need to take to fill in the gaps of your business. And you just go to pillar5.com, pillarfive.com, and you can take your free assessment today.
So
tell them Ed sent you.
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm setting up, and this is breaking news right now.
Breaking news.
I'm setting up what essentially is going to be something old, something borrowed. I don't care what color it is, but it's a membership organization, a membership fee. All right. And with a big name. And I'm thinking that it would it's not a dream, but I'm thinking that it would be easier to generate some cash flow from individuals and also corporations, because you got Plan A and Plan B, and the benefit package is different, and it's all based upon gaining access to people like you guys, and if when you're a member you get, you know, a golden handshake, and if you're not a member, well, you can still meet you guys, but it'll be a little bit more difficult because I'm providing access through this TV platform. Okay, so anyway, that's my new thing. It's actually not a new thing. I was told to do this around 10 years ago and I didn't. And so I said, well, maybe this idea will work.
Well, you know,
wow, I love it.
One thing, yeah, great idea, Edwin. One thing I think is definitely worth looking at is you definitely see, you know, post-COVID, there's a higher bar now for the website experiences that you're seeing across the board. And you'd be surprised, you can get some really good developers or UX people. That could be something to think about as you're evolving your business and tweaking it, to get a good UX person to go and look at the website and take it up another notch, because that might help you get higher conversions when it comes to the advertisers. But you'd actually find just doing a mixture of UX kind of interviews with the advertisers, but also doing it with the people that visit the website or access the newsletter, you'd be surprised. You could get some interesting insights from that, like the kind of content they want, how they want to present it, the website styles that works well, you know, how it's laid out. For example, even video content, I mean, how that's laid out there, for example. Certainly something to think about. That could be one thing that for me, I've just been from my own experience, getting experience to you know, getting to meet a lot of these companies, these different startups, also these corporates like Booking.com, the incredible focus on data and the being data driven and customer insight driven. You'd be surprised how that could help maybe take you up to the next level. So that could be something to think about.
So one of the new things that we're going to be doing, new for us, new for me, us, is that there's a guy out there who says he's going to build me a bot, all right, like an Alexa, you know, a robot that will be a customer service tool. So it's like an app, okay, or it connects to an app, you know, so people can find out information about our different programs and the different product lines. In other words, we have a consultancy show like this, all right, and then we have a leadership show like that, and we have a mobility conversation show tomorrow. Okay, and so there's different ways that people can participate. And when people go to my site, or they maybe, you know, open up a message I send on WhatsApp or LinkedIn, they can click on the bot connection and it plays a message rather than hear it from me. So anyway,
the big thing I think is you'd be surprised what you can do these days with simple website add-ons, and just even, for example, getting a website redesigned on an Upwork or something like that. You know, you got some brilliant website developers or people that can just click a button on, for example, if you've got WordPress as your website architecture, they click a button and all of a sudden like a customer service bot is already implemented in the website. So that anyone goes there, it can like, oh, hi, nice to meet you. Can I help you? Things like that. It's incredible the amount of automation you can put in to make it feel like a real, you know, a much better experience nowadays compared to, let's say, 5 or 6 years ago.
Thank you for
that. Absolutely. And Ed, I'll be happy to share a lot of those with you so you can start exploring those. There's a lot of free versions. There's a lot of freemium versions. There's a lot of paid versions. But like John he's hitting it on all cylinders right now. A lot of that technology is so advanced that, you know, what we were building 6 years ago took us 6 years to get here. We'll now redo completely from scratch in 9 months. Like technology it's completely different.
I think actually so much of the skill nowadays in setting up business is less about, you know, doing it all yourself, because you can't do it all yourself. It's more actually being able to know where to find the right experts Okay, if I've got a marketing thing, I need to think, oh, this is where I need to go to. If it's a YouTube SEO, this is who I need to go to. If I need to get a WordPress website built, this is where I need to go and how I can find them there. Really understanding what your core skill set is as a founder versus what not your core skill set, but knowing where to find those answers. I think that's definitely an underrated skill. And just knowing, for example, how to Google, how to search for the right expertise or the right help or the right answer. That's what for me has been huge. A combination of reaching out to my own network or building my own network personally by just doing the hard yards of getting, reaching out to people, but also the kind of keyword agility of knowing how to find the right answer depending on what platform I'm going on.
Thank you for
right,
that.
Absolutely. Ed, I want to share something with you that could be very valuable. I'm just brainstorming while you're talking. I know that your market has shifted tremendously since COVID, and so you're looking at a different vertical for monetization. Here's something that you should consider. Because the value of the content of your show, and you talk about charging people for that, you can almost do an RSS feed. I know I'm dating myself when I say RSS feed. It's okay. But something like an RSS feed where someone could use your show and plug it into their platforms. Someone like Pillar 5, someone like Value Builder, someone anywhere where they're doing business and they're helping business owners, whether it's on Credit Karma with getting funding, any of these organizations that are talking to your market, well, you could syndicate your podcast out there, even if it was free, even if it was just for a percentage of whether their service was. I'll take a percent of service, even if it's on PayPal business screens, whatever. QuickBooks, that's definitely one that business owners are using every day. If you can find a way into that market and connect to your show, you can monetize that and let the end users just enjoy it versus the end users buying it. And then you have a little bit more value because then you have a bigger organization promoting you. Just a thought.
Good one. That actually ties in with what I've been doing, but I didn't know what I was doing. So, because, others say I should charge admission to watch this show, even if it's only $10. And I've said, no. It's got to be free and open source or in order to build an audience for the network I'm building. So I'm modeling this on NBC or Fox, Disney, they're building content. They got it to such a point now they're setting up this pay TV stuff. But what Google Analytics has measured since we launched this show, which I call Global TV Talk Shows, they've tracked a little over 100,000 what they call reader page views since last April, not this past April, but a year ago, which is pretty good,
That's awesome. That's awesome. I think their model, because they have the paid ads, obviously, if they invited Ed or John onto the NBC, Good Morning show, they're not going to charge you to come to the show, and they're not going to charge the viewers who are watching CNBC or NBC at home to watch the show. They're making their money off the sponsorships, the in-between gaps. So if you have the audience, again, back to John's point on data, right, and subscribers are part of the data package, that's your asset. So if you have a number of subscribers, vendors want to be exposed to your subscribers. So
right.
They're going to pay you that cost to do that. So therefore, you don't have to charge your users, which allows you to get more subscribers on your show without charging and limiting the amount of people who are willing to pay. Just, again, brainstorming and thinking it through. Go back to infrastructure pillar and think one-page business plan. One page keeps you agile. If you write 50 pages, you're going to feel like you're stuck, and then you're going to throw it on the shelf. It's going to collect dust, and it's going to be no good. It's going to feel good when you're done writing it, but it will serve as a 30-page coffee coaster.
Thank you, guys. This has really been cool for me, and I hope for the audience out there. Take care. Please come back next month. Let's go to the next level.
Absolutely.
Perfect. It's a pleasure again to meet you guys. Nice to meet you, Karlton. Good to catch up.
Nice to meet you, John. We'll
Thank
connect.
you, guys. Thank you very much.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you for joining us in the meeting room at Global TV Talk Show.
Have a wonderful day, and stay safe.